It's not so easy all the time, is it? To trust ourselves and follow what feels right to us. I mean, how often do we say yes to things that we don't want to? How often do we put others before ourselves? How often do we do things to please others at the expense of ourselves? Let's face it, growing up, conversations around following our truth and following our dreams really weren't things that we talked about in my house growing up. Today, when you go out, you see signs everywhere that say things like, dream big and keep your worries small. Don't let anyone dull your sparkle. Be happy, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? I have them all over my house, I confess. So my girls see them as reminders, that I see them as a reminder, to live in our truth. Yeah, but those signs would never have been in the house that I was growing up with. If there was a sign, it would really say something else like this. Suck it up, life's not fair, be careful, right? Success was about security. It was not about fulfillment or even happiness. It wasn't even on my radar. I lived from checkbox to checkbox and achievement to achievement until one day I just couldn't do it anymore. But what I've learned is that I'm always a choice. I'm always a choice to how I want to live and how I want to choose to perceive how I live. Do I want to stay in playing it safe, playing it small, and be fearful, be run by my fears, and limit my possibilities? Or do I want to be uninhibited and live connected to my truth and be open to possibilities? Every moment we have a choice. And actually only 10% of our happiness is dictated by our current situation. The rest of it is up to us. So if that's true, then why don't we just always decide to look at things from a positive perspective and to be open to possibilities? Why don't we just do that? But a lot of us are wired with a lot of negative programming that's happened over time since we were little. And it's really hard to break it. Scientists call it brain lock, that you really get stuck in your patterns and how you see the world. And we create evidence all the time to ensure that it's congruent with what our brain already thinks. So breaking these patterns is so hard. And it really takes discipline and conscious choice. But it is possible. We can disrupt these patterns because research also shows us that, the brain is plastic and we can create new neural pathways. So it's possible. But here's the thing. There's 3 things that I have found that really hold us back. We don't think we deserve it. Consciously or unconsciously, we sabotage ourselves because we don't really believe that we're entitled to what we want or our truth, especially as women. We think it's selfish. Again, we think it's entitled. Who are we to want that? And it automatically slams the door on what we want. So the first thing we really need to do is to decide that we're worth it, that we're worthy of it, whatever it is we want and of our truth. The second thing that really holds us back is that even if we know what we want, we think we have to have it all figured out before we even take a step towards it. We think we have to have everything figured out before we even start to move towards it. We get so wrapped up in the how. How am I going to do this? How am I going to make this happen? It's like if I could control everything around me and all the stars were aligned, then I could do it. As long as everybody else was doing what they needed to do, then it would be fine, right? We try to control everything around us. And when we do that, we're actually giving all our power away. Then we stay stuck. And what I want to offer you is another way to take that first step, is to take your power back. Instead of focusing on the how, focus on the who. Who do you want to be? Make that be your first step. Who do you want to be in this? But the other thing that gets in our way, is a big one, is that we care way too much about what other people think. How many times do we do things that we don't want to do for the sake of everyone else? out of fear of judgment, being accepted, pleasing them, taking care of them, responsibility, right? Especially for the ones we love. I mean, how many people stay in miserable jobs or marriages or relationships that are soul-crushing for the sake of those they love? We sacrifice ourselves sometimes for everybody else. You gotta think of yourself too. Where do you fit in this? Where are you? We get so carried away in our ideas and assumptions of what other people are gonna think and how they're gonna react that we often miss the big picture. We really miss the truth of what we're doing. So often we worry so much about how it's going to affect those that we love that we actually miss that our actions speak louder than our words, and that what we're doing is actually modeling for them. That what we're doing is teaching them. And by making those choices, we're guiding them towards what we would actually want them to do if they were in the same situation as us. When we follow what's true, it may be messy, it may be hard, and it may not make everybody happy. But when we follow what's true, it really does serve us. And what I really want you to walk away from tonight is to know that your truth is trustable, that you can relax into it, you can follow it, and you can let it set you free.